it's time for 2024 reading wrap-ups. Let's talk about 24 beautiful titles that I read in 2024. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Trishita Reads. I am Trishita, and in today's video I will be talking about my top favorite 24 books that I read in the year 2024. That consists of a diverse mixture of genres, from chilling thrillers to heartwarming romances to Indian mythologies, classics and literary fictions. Get ready to add some amazing titles to your TBR pile. Let's begin with the video. I have selected top 2 reads for every single month starting from January to December, and at the end of the video I will share my top read for the year of 2024. So stay tuned till the end. In the month of January, I read 2 beautiful books. One is Avatars of Brahma, and the second one is actually a series. You can read all of the novels in the series as standalones. I am talking about Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. So at first, let me tell you what Avatars of Brahma is about and why I like that book so much. This book focuses on the different avatars of Brahma, which is a very uncommon mythological topic that you will see in any book. This book goes beyond the traditional mythology to delve into the wisdoms of the different avatars of Brahma. These avatars shaped the course of Indian thought and culture. The key concept of this book is drawing inspiration from the Dasam Granth, which is a sacred text in Sikhism, and the book talks about the lives and the teachings of all of the avatars of Brahma. These avatars, for example Hiranyagarbha, are considered to be the founders of various schools of Indian philosophy, including Shankha, Yoga and Nyaya. This book not only talks about the various teachings given by the different avatars of Brahma, but also it talks about how these teachings are interconnected and how it has shaped the Indian thoughts and cultures across various domains, including philosophy, science, and social and legal systems. Now, you might think that the book is talking about very heavy themes, so it might be difficult to read, right? But that's the magical part of this book, the writing style. The way the author has explained all of these complicated yet enlightening topics is commendable. Let it be anyone. If you are a pro reader or if you are just thinking of beginning your reading journey, you can go and pick this book up, and all of the topics that are discussed in this book are accessible to everyone, making this book engaging till the end of the story. Not only that, after a few paragraphs, there were Sanskrit slokas along with its translations that were related to the things the author was explaining, and it was a beautiful experience to not only read what the author was talking about, but also the Sanskrit shlokas. Mythology is one of my favorite genres to read, but I have not seen any book talking about the avatars of Brahma. So definitely this book was very unique. You cannot absorb every single teaching given by the author in this book. It is very compact because every single time you finish reading the book, you will realize that you have learned something new. I do think that this book is a very valuable resource for the people who are interested in Indian philosophy, spirituality and culture. Also, if you are kind of bored in reading those monotonous Indian mythological books that are kind of retellings, you can definitely go for this book. If you love Devdutt Patnaik's books and if you love the way he explains all of the theories and stories, then definitely you will love this book as well. However, I did feel like the writing style of this author is simpler than Devdutt Patnaik's books, so I think that this is a green signal for you to go and pick this book up. Next up, I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, and later in this year only another book came out that I have not read yet. So for me, the series is still not complete, but I have read 4 books in this series, so I think that I can talk about it with you guys. January means winters and winters means coffee, so that was a perfect time for me to start reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold series and see why it is so hyped on the internet and what all of the fuss is about. And trust me guys, all of the appreciation and popularity that the series is getting is well deserved. The underlying themes of this series were the profound impact of time and the enduring power of human connections with a unique and heartwarming twist. The story revolves around a mysterious cafe in Tokyo that offers its patrons the extraordinary opportunity to travel back in time. However, it is not as easy as it seems. There are some strict rules they have to follow. 1. They must sit in a specific seat. 2. They cannot leave that seat when they are in the past or future. And 3rd, and the most important thing, they have to return to the present before the coffee gets cold. In every single book, the plot is same, but we follow 4 different individuals in every single book of this series as they make their own emotional and poignant journeys into the past or the future. So that is the reason why I was saying that you can read all of the books in this series as standalone novels. There are some characters, especially the people who are running the cafe, common in every single book, but the presence of those characters in every single book won't hinder your experience of reading the books as standalones. However, if you really want to see the magic of this series, then I will highly recommend to read this series according to its sequence. The books beautifully illustrate the bittersweet nature of time and how it is so important to cherish the moments that you are living presently. Also, the journeys each and every single character goes through when they are traveling through time was so beautiful to read, and it definitely teaches about how important human connections are to us and how important it is to forgive, accept, and say goodbye. The most important and the most beautiful thing of this series was it teaches us that even if we had the power to go to the past or to the future, there are some things that we cannot control, and it is for our best concern that we leave those strings the way they were or the way they will be. This book will not only make you cry, but this book will also give you that heartwarming feeling when you read any Asian translated fiction. Kawaguchi's writing is both gentle yet very powerful. Also, the stories of this book will induce the feelings of melancholy and nostalgia. Before the Coffee Gets Cold series is not only a very thought-provoking series, but also this series is very emotional as well. It is that series which will stay with you long after you have finished reading the series. So if you are thinking of starting to explore Asian translated fictions but are afraid to commit, then definitely you can start with Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. Now comes to February, my birthday month. In February, I got a chance to go to India's biggest literature festival, that is Jaipur Literature Festival, and it was an experience, guys. I had an absolute blast in February, but I also did not forget to read books. So here are my top 2 books that I read in February. One is Boys Don't Cry by Meghna Pant. When I read it, I was shocked, I was in tears, and I was so happy that I read a book like this. And then when I was returning from Jaipur, train journey was quite long. It was winters, and because of fog, my train was around 3 hours late. So what I did, I read The Boy in Striped Pajamas, which was not a good decision when it comes to me almost bawling my eyes out in public, but it was a great read. So let's talk about Boys Don't Cry first. The main themes of Boys Don't Cry are domestic abuse, challenging societal norms, and obviously challenging readers to confront unforgettable truths. This book talks about the story of Manika Pataudi, an independent and educated woman who finds herself trapped in an abusive marriage. When her husband is found dead, Manika becomes the prime suspect, unraveling a complex web of lies and secrets. The book shines light on the realities of domestic abuse, highlighting physical, emotional, and psychological impact on the victims. This book also talks about the challenges of societal norms and expectations surrounding marriage and gender roles, especially on women. This novel also encourages the readers to break the silence surrounding domestic abuse and supporting victims who are trapped in similar situations. Not only this book covers a very heavy and emotional topic like domestic abuse, but this book is also a very good thriller as well. The way Meghna Pant has connected these two topics and made it into a very beautiful and powerful read was very commendable. The emotions shown by the main female character were so raw that I was crying with her when she was going through so much in life. Overall, Boys Don't Cry is not for the faint-hearted people. After you finish reading this book, definitely you will become a stronger person with a fire in your heart to help the people in need. This book is a challenging yet very necessary read that encourages introspection and empathy in readers. So if you are looking for a book that has heavy themes like domestic abuse, but at the end it teaches you about life and how you can get over it, then definitely you can read Boys Don't Cry. And once again, I highly recommend this book. This book definitely felt like a person was sitting in front of me and they were sharing their anecdote of life. And it was so very realistic because we regularly see cases like these on the newspaper or media. And it was so good to read what actually happened at the end of the story. Next up, I read another tearjerker, The Boy in Striped Pajamas. The main theme of this book is Holocaust seen through the innocent eyes of a young boy. And even now when I'm talking about this book, my eyes are filling up because when I think of the innocence of this boy who did not know anything what his parents were doing, always makes me emotional. This book follows a 9-year-old boy, Bruno, whose life turns upside down when his family decides to shift to a new location during the World War II. Since this place was not familiar to him and there was no one of his age at the beginning, he was feeling very lonely. But then, under some circumstances, he befriends Smuel, a boy he sees living on the other side of the fence from his window, completely unaware of the horrific reality of the concentration camps that lies beyond. Imagine a child who does not know anything about what is going on in the world befriends a person who is not from his community, who is basically a part of a group of people against which his parents are fighting, and they are torturing people like Small, who is so young that he doesn't even know what happened to his parents. He just knows that his parents are missing. He does not know where they went. He does not know what will happen to him in future. And it was so heartbreaking to read this because I knew what happened to them, but the child did not know what happened to them. And the innocence reflected in this friendship was so beautiful. And when I reached at the end of the story, I was crying like hell. I did not care about any person who might be watching me in public, but I simply could not control my tears. After reading All the Lights We Cannot See, this particular book about World War II made me cry. The book was definitely a devastating yet a beautiful experience for me because of the writing style of the author. Not only this book is accessible to people who do not read regularly, but this book is also a great read for the people who read regularly. So if you're looking for a historical fiction that will definitely jerk some tears in your eyes, definitely go and read The Boy in Striped Pajamas. ক্যামেরার সামনে এত আদর, অন্য সময় কামড়ে শেষ করে দেয় আমায়। In March, I read a variety of books, and one of my top two favorites from March is a children fantasy fiction, and the other one is a literary fiction that talks about the 1992 riots in Lucknow. So let's talk about the children fantasy fiction first. The book I am talking about is Somewhere in the Deep, where the readers are transported into the world of intrigue and danger, where mythical creatures roam and survival is definitely a struggle. This book follows the journey of Crescent Dune, a young woman who is burdened by her family's debts. To escape her isolated island, she must fight the dangerous creatures that lurk in the underground pits. But then a disastrous fight lands her in deep trouble, and she is offered a dangerous alternative. She had to join a hunting party that is going on an almost impossible mission into the underground mines of the island. In this dangerous journey, Crescent faces a lot of challenges. She was poor from the very beginning, and because of that, she was underprivileged and she was taken advantage of. But then, as she was traversing through the deep mines, she was constantly in danger of her life because there were a lot of dangerous creatures hidden everywhere. And not only that, there were allies who turned out to be traitors. We also get to see Crescent going on a journey where she struggles to overcome the shadow of her family's past and forge her own path. Despite all of the dangers and despite all of the challenges, at the end, Crescent definitely found the people who actually care for her, and she discovers how important human connections are. Tanvi's writing in this book was so beautiful and it was so vivid that I could actually draw a picture of all of the weird and dangerous creatures that she was explaining in the book. Not only the creatures, the eerie environment of the island definitely made this book a very interesting read. Somewhere in the Deep does not feel like a children fantasy fiction. It definitely is beyond that. Not only this book has politics, this book also talks about how poor people are taken for granted and how they can be used on the whims of the people who are in power. So if you're looking for a thrilling and action-packed adventure with a very strong female main protagonist and obviously a unique and well-developed world, then definitely this book is for you. Also a note, this book has some South Asian inspired mythological creatures which you might end up liking. Up next, I read a very contrasting book, One Small Voice by Shantanu Bhattacharya. I don't know why this book is not talked about, and I also got to know about this book when I was attending APJ Literary Festival. So here I am using my platform to talk about a very underrated book that should be talked about more in India. This book has a backdrop of a turbulent period of Indian history. One Small Voice follows the life of Shubhankar, who is a very young boy, and he witnesses a traumatic act of violence during the 1992 riots in Lucknow. This event deeply impacts his life, shaping his future and driving him to escape the horror he witnessed such a long time ago. This was definitely a case of PTSD. But back then, first of all, nobody cared, and second of all, people were not aware. This story powerfully depicts the long-lasting impacts of violence that it can have on a person and a society. This novel also gives us glimpses of not only the society society but also the political environment during the 1992 riots, which will definitely make you think about the things that are still happening nowadays just on the name of religion. This was the first time I was reading anything by Shantanu Bhattacharya, so I definitely had no expectations when I was diving into the book. But when I finished this book, I was in awe with the writing of this author. There is a beautiful balance between fiction and reality in this book, where you will see the actual glimpses of the political environment that was happening in 1992 and also the fictional life of Shubhankar and how that violent incident affected him throughout his life. So if you're looking for a powerful read that also gives glimpses about how violent Indian history can be, then definitely you can start reading One Small Voice by Shantanu Bhattacharya. You will not regret this choice. And I definitely want this book to become popular so that the author continues writing more beautiful books. Now coming to April. In this month, I asked my boyfriend to select a few thrillers for me to read, and the first book that he recommended me was The Silent Patient, which became one of my top reads for the year 2024. So let's talk about this first. I have also recommended this thriller to you guys before, but here I am again talking about this thriller to you guys. So this is definitely a sign for you to read The Silent Patient if you have not read it already. The undergoing themes of this book go into the depths of human psyche, exploring the themes of silence, obsession, and the complexities of human relationships. The main female character of this book is Alicia Berenson, who was a renowned painter, but after she shot her husband, she never spoke. This heinous crime committed by Alicia definitely gathered some eyeballs, and Alicia suddenly turned into a media sensation and obsession for many. There enters Theo Faber, who is a determined psychotherapist and is working in the mental hospital where Alicia is kept, and obviously he is intrigued by Alicia's case. Slowly, he becomes obsessed with Alicia, unlocking a lot of secrets that are hidden in Alicia's past. This book not only talks about obsession, this book also talks about trauma, this book also talks about stalking, and this book definitely talks about how complex a human mind can be. This novel definitely raises questions on the ethics of therapy. By ethics of therapy, I mean to what extent a relationship between a therapist and his or her patient should be so that it stays a medical relationship, not something personal. And this book definitely challenges that. I really love the captivating, dark, and atmospheric writing of this author, and this book definitely kept me hooked from the beginning to the end, and especially the twist at the end had my jaw drop to the floor. This book is a psychological thriller, and if you like watching thriller movies or if you like reading thrillers and still haven't read Silent Patient, please do yourself a favor and go and read this book. This book might become one of your favorite thrillers of all time. And then in April, I read a completely different book, and that is On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. That became one of my favorite books of 2024. The themes of this book are exploration of family, identity, and how language can be so important. This entire book is a letter from a son to his illiterate mother, and in those letters he reflects upon his life, their life, and how the past has impacted his present. The novel also explores three important themes: race, class, and masculinity, all set in the unsettling backdrop of Vietnam War and its long-lasting consequences. This book talks about the power of language, how it is so beneficial to communicate with other people, and how so easily it can cause harm to others. This book also talks about the lasting impact of trauma and how the Vietnam War affected families and individuals. This story also explores the complex and often fraught relationship between a mother and a son, highlighting the enduring bond of love they have. Ocean Vogue's writing is simply breathtaking. The writing is raw, honest, and deeply moving, capturing the experience of the main male character with such sensitivity that it was a beautiful read. This book is definitely for people who appreciate powerful storytelling and insightful reflections of the human conditions. And once again, I will say highly recommend it. Two of my best reads from the month of May is one, a thriller, and second, a holiday romance. The first book, that is the thriller, is Journey Under the Midnight Sun. This book is a slow burn thriller, and this book emphasizes on the fact that one particular incident can completely ruin your life. Set in 1970s Osaka, the story begins with a shocking murder that leaves a young girl, Yukiho, as the prime suspect. Years later, Ryo, a man whose life was intertwined with Yukiho after he became the investigating officer center of the case, embarks on a relentless quest to uncover what actually happened, unraveling a complex web of secrets and lies along his way. This book definitely explores the loopholes of the justice system and how it is so hard to find justice nowadays. This novel also dwells into the power of memory, how it shapes our lives and how it can be easily manipulated. This story also tells us about the social and cultural changes that happened in Japan since the 1970s. This is a slow burn thriller, but trust me guys, every single chapter had something going on, and at first I was not able to connect particular incidents that were happening in particular chapters, but later on the author skillfully connects every single dot and I was left in awe. And then I realized how masterfully the author has created a complex yet a very streamlined thriller. Since the pace of this book is a little slow, it definitely helped me to immerse myself fully and absorb everything that was happening in this story, and I loved every single bit of it. The only thing that was not very satisfactory to me was the ending, but even if the ending was not that satisfactory, I really enjoyed the journey of this book. So if you enjoy slow burn thrillers and if you want to dive into the complexities of human mind, then definitely go and read Journey Under the Midnight Sun. It is a Asian translated fiction, so definitely you know that this book will be dark. The next book that I read was a holiday romance. I do not read books particularly on the basis of seasons. It completely depends on my mood, and hence in hot summer I was reading a Christmas romance novel. The book that I'm talking about is Miracle of Regent Street by Ali Harris. This is again a very underrated book, but I really loved reading it. Hence I want you guys to read this book. This is a charming story that follows Evie, who is kind of invisible. Nobody cares about her, and this is her journey as she embarks on a mission to save the departmental store in which she works from demolition. Hardee's is a departmental store and it is struggling because according to modern people, this store in particular is stuck in the past and all of the products that they cater are not for the young generation. So that is the reason why the sales have reduced and even the marketing team is not able to drive sales anymore. But when Evie takes a step forward, she secretly starts decorating and renovating one single department of the entire store. Sales start coming. Now there is obviously one evil person who is taking all of the credit of Evie's idea, and this is a journey of Evie who is comfortable being in the dark, being invisible in front of everyone, come in front and take charge of the talent that she has. This book majorly focuses on Evie's journey and also there were little glimpses of romance. This book is definitely way different from all of the holiday romances that are coming nowadays. This book also talks about how important a community is and how teamwork can actually transform a store that has been dead for years to a store that gains popularity suddenly. This novel also focuses on kindness, generosity, and the power of hope, which is not seen much in Christmassy novels nowadays. The writing style of this author is very easy and very engaging, so this book is definitely beginner friendly. While the plot of this book is not groundbreaking with respect to some of the books that I have already talked about or will be talking about in the video, but this book definitely gives you that warm and cozy feeling that we experience during the holiday season. So if you want to read a book that talks about self-discovery, that talks about how important it is to have self-confidence and how important it is to know that you are worth, and a little bit of romance, then definitely grab this book. I highly recommend. Now we come to June, a month that completely changed my life. I started my booktube journey and it has definitely been an incredible journey. And in this month, I read a beautiful classic that I guess all of you know about, but definitely I have to talk about it because it is one of my top reads. And the book I'm talking about is Frankenstein. The main themes of this book were the limits of science and the consequences of ambitions and revenge. Frankenstein tells the tale of Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but obsessed scientist who dares to play God. Driven by an insatiable desire to unlock the secrets of life, he creates a human being, or you can say a monster, from inanimate matter. And from then, disastrous incidents start happening in his life. At first, I was absolutely horrified of the creature created by Frankenstein, but later on, I started sympathizing with him. The only thing that the creature wanted from its human creator was some connection. He only wanted a companion who looked like him, talked like him, walked like him, and with whom he could talk, he could communicate, and he could spend his life with. See how important some basic things are in our lives that we take for granted, and that is the reason why this book became my absolute favorite. You know, sometimes I do feel overwhelmed by classics, but classics are classics for some reason. The writing style of this author is very easy, and definitely I did not feel like I was reading a classic. This book is not just a horror story. This book will teach you a lot about life as well. Frankenstein is a timeless classic, so if you are afraid or intimidated by classics like I am, you can blindly go and read Frankenstein. Not only this book is relevant till today, but this book is so easy to read that you won't even know and the book is finished. This book is definitely a must read for everyone who is looking to read a book or is reading books. Next up, another favorite of mine from the month of June was Karna. This book was a fresh perspective on the life and struggle of Karna, one of the most complex, powerful, and tragic characters of Mahabharata. Karna was a warrior of immense strength and skill, and this retelling explores his inner struggles, his friendships, and his love for Draupadi, and why his loyalty was so unwavering towards Duryodhana. The story also tells that Karna's destiny was already predetermined, and still he made the choices that he made. This shows how loyal he was to his friends and to the people he cared about. Karna's life is marked by societal discrimination because of his birth, and this novel powerfully explores the themes of prejudice and the struggle of acceptance. The writing definitely is very engaging. I did not have any issue with the flow of this story, and this book is definitely a skillful blend of historical fiction and modern sensibilities. So if you're looking for an Indian mythology read that talks about the life of Karna, then definitely go and read Karna. How can this list be complete without a Frida McFadden novel? In July, I read The Teacher by Frida McFadden and I was blown. The Teacher was a book that was so twisted and so dark that I was kept on the edge of my seat till the end. And oh my god, the two twists at the end of the story completely shocked me. Eve is a seemingly ordinary math teacher, but her life turns upside down when a troubled student, Addie, enters her classroom. Addie's presence stirs up unsettling memories of the past scandal in the school, and it also starts affecting Evie's perfect life as well. The characters in this book are complex and absolutely flawed, making them both interesting and frustrating as well. Evie, even though seems very perfect and has a perfect life, has her own secrets and deceptions. And on the other hand, Addie is complex, troubled, and a child definitely in need, but that also makes her true intentions in question. I have praised Frida McFadden before, but here I am doing it again. Frida McFadden knows how to write popcorn thrillers. She knows how to write fast-paced thrillers with twists that can be jaw-dropping, and those endings definitely are very satisfactory. One good thing that I really like about the books by Frida McFadden are the chapters are short, and she ends every chapter with a twist that forces me to start a new chapter, and voila, I don't even know how the book flew by, but I get done with the book, and that too super fast. Since this is a popcorn thriller, I really love the fact that it was a fast-paced novel. While The Teacher has some minor plots and some twists are predictable, but this book was definitely very addictive. Also, I will give you one trigger warning if you are willing to start reading this book, and that is a student-teacher relationship. So if you are not comfortable with that, do not read this book. There are other books by Frida McFadden. You can go and check them out. Otherwise, if you are okay with this topic, then definitely you are in for a treat. This is a psychological fast-paced thriller, and absolutely this book will make you glued to it till the very end. So if you are looking for something like this, then definitely go and read The Teacher by Frida McFadden. It is free on Kindle Unlimited. Definitely have an amazing time with this book. I highly recommend. Up next, I read a book that completely changed my perspective towards life, and I don't know why this book is not talked about much, or I have not seen anyone talking about this book. And the book I am talking about is A Long Walk to Water. This isn't just a story. This is a window to the lives of the children who are facing unimaginable challenges in Sudan. This book interweaves the lives of two children, Naya, a young girl who is presently living in Sudan, and a boy, Salwa, who fled during the Second Sudanese War decades earlier. The tale of Naya takes us on a journey where she goes in a very treacherous journey of fetching water every single day, and on the other hand, we see Salwa, who is trying to survive amidst the war. And giving you a fact, the story of Salwa is about a real person. The atrocities that this child, Salwa, had to go through was so disturbing and so heartbreaking that even though the thickness of this book was so small, I was pausing this book multiple times to absorb what actually was happening to this child and how difficult it was for that child to go on in life. But when you go and see the face of this man now, look at the bright smile that he has. And currently he also runs an NGO that works on drilling wells in different parts and villages of Sudan, so that the people of Sudan don't have to go go to a very long journey to fetch water every single day, and they can get fresh drinking water, which is definitely a basic need of every single person. Naya's story highlights the impact of water scarcity and how clean water is a basic need which not everyone gets. On the other hand, Salwa's journey is a testament of human spirit's resilience and how we have incredible capacity to endure hardships and still find hope in the face of adversity. Both of these stories underscore the importance of education and its importance in breaking the cycle of poverty and conflict. The way in which the author has written this book was so incredible. It is very difficult to write a profound and thought-provoking story in a thin book, but this author has portrayed the sensitive and raw emotions of both of the characters so beautifully, and I was shocked, you guys, when I got to know that Salwa was a real person. This book is definitely a powerful reminder of all of the challenges faced by not only children but the people who are living in underdeveloped regions all over the world, and how important it is to be globally aware of all of the situations that they are going through, and at the end of the day they just need a small hand of help to bring in some ease in their lives. While this book targets middle grade readers, this book has taught me a lot as an adult, and I also recommend this book to everyone who is watching this video. Even if you are a middle grader, even if you are adult, or even if you are old, definitely go and read this book. Up next, in August, I decided to read my first ever sports romance, and I absolutely loved reading it. The book I'm talking about is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. And also, for the very first time, I came across the works of Ashley Poston. I read The 7 Year Slip, and obviously I had to include that book in my top 24 books of 2024. So let's talk about Icebreaker first. Icebreaker, as you already know, is a hockey sports romance novel, and this book revolves around two characters and their journey of self-acceptance. The main female character of this book is Anastasia, and she is a fiercely driven ice skater, and her world turns upside down when she and her team is forced to share the skating rink with the hockey team. And there enters Nate Hawkins, who is the captain of the hockey team, and sparks start to fly instantly between them. Both off ice and on ice, their chemistry is impeccable. But there is a problem. Anastasia is afraid of commitments, and Nate, on the other hand, is only focused on hockey. So this is a journey of Nate and Anastasia of not only solving their own inner problems but also accepting each other in their lives. Anastasia is a very strong and independent character, and Nate, on the other hand, is equivalent to a sunflower. He was shiny throughout this whole book and very caring as well, not only towards Anastasia but towards everyone in his hockey team as well. The relationship between these two people developed very organically, and I really loved how there was no miscommunication between these two people. It did give the relationship of these two people a mature angle, and I really loved that fact. However, the only thing that lacked a little bit for me was the ending. It was rushed a little, but I do not have any complaints overall. This book talks about how mental health is very important and how we should give importance to therapy if needed. This book also talks about the importance of friendships and how they can be your newfound families. This book also talks about how important it is to know where you are lacking and how important it is to embrace that and try to improve ourselves. Also, one thing I have to specify is that this book has smutty and spicy scenes. So if you are okay with reading some smut in the book, then definitely this book is for you. Not only this book had smut, this book had a lot of things that I talked about that might enlighten you as a reader as well. I highly recommend this book. Now enters Ashley Poston in my life, and definitely this author has become my auto-buy author. I have read 2 novels by her this year. I absolutely loved both of them. However, if I compare the 2 novels, I loved The 7 Year Slip more, hence I have included this book in this list. The other novel that I read was A Novel Story by Ashley Poston. That is also a very good book. So if you get interested by my review of The 7 Year Slip, then definitely you can go and check out A Novel Story as well. The 7 Year Slip is a magical realism mixed with romance novel. This book talks about grief, healing, and self-discovery as well. The main character of this book is Clementine, and she works in a book publishing company. She is a publicist, and she is currently in grief and sorrow because her aunt passed away. And because of that, she inherits her late aunt's New York City apartment, and she decides to move there to save rent. Her aunt always claimed that this apartment could slip through time, but Clementine never believed it. Who does? Until she meets Ewan, a charming chef living 7 years in the past. Seems very interesting, right? The character of Clementine was so relatable and her journey was very inspiring to me. On the other hand, Ivan compliments Clementine so beautifully that I also could not help myself. I started having a soft corner for Ivan as well. Also, for the very first time, I read a romance novel that had magical realism in it, and I really liked that. So if you are looking for something similar, and if you are looking for a romance novel that does not feel like romance novel per se, then definitely you can go and read The 7-Year Slave. And this magical realism element also continues in a novel story as well. So you can go and check that book out as well. Up next in September, I read A Court of Mist and Fury, and I am not going to talk about that book at all in this video because everything I spill out will contain a spoiler, because it is the second book in A Court of Thorns and Roses series. So if you are looking to read a romantasy, or if you want to start your journey in reading romantasies, then definitely you can start with A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And definitely I highly recommend A Court of Mist and Fury to each and everyone who is watching this video, because not only there was romance and world building, the politics in this book was absolutely amazing. And then again, I read another fantasy called Hotel Magnifique, which definitely gave me some glimpses of Caraval, but personally, I liked Hotel Magnifique more than Caraval. This is a world of wonder, magic, and intrigue, and I was sucked into the story from the very beginning. The story of this book revolves around Hotel Magnifique, which remains in one location for 24 hours and then whoosh, it vanishes and it goes to a completely different location. We follow the journey of Jani, a woman who is struggling to earn money and she is yearning for a better life. And she stumbles upon the mysterious Hotel Magnifique. She is given the role of a worker in the Hotel Magnifique, and the pay is definitely huge. As you already know, this is not an ordinary hotel. Every single room in this hotel changes according to the accommodation wanted by the guests, and also the guests are selected very precisely. So even the entry inside the hotel is regulated. However, the secret of the hotel runs deeper than anybody can imagine. So we go on a journey with Jani and her sister as they start discovering the secrets of the hotel. And obviously because of that, their lives are in danger. The one thing that I really loved about this book was how magical the hotel was. The hotel in itself was a character in this novel. And that explains how beautiful the writing style of this author was throughout this whole book. The enchanting atmosphere, the vivid descriptions of different rooms and different corners of the hotel was an absolute delight to read. Jani definitely shows what resilience is, and if something happens to the person who is very close to you, you do not care about your own life. You go and try to save the person who is in danger. Not only Jani and her sister, but I also really loved every single person from the supporting cast as well. And also I really loved reading about how cunning the villains were. That added depth and complexity to the story. This book had everything. It had magical elements, it had fantasy elements, it has romance in it, and obviously mystery of secrets and lies and darkness. So if you are looking for a middle grade fantasy novel that has some amounts of adventure in it and majority of mystery and thrill in it and a little bit glimpse of romance, then definitely you can go and check out Hotel Magnifique. I highly recommend this book to you guys. Now coming to October. In October, I read Days at Morisaki Bookshop, and voila, it became one of the best books I have read in 2024. And also a complete contrast, I read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher, another favorite book of mine from 2024. Let's talk about Days at Morisaki Bookshop first. This story is not just about books and secondhand bookstores. It is a story of finding solace and peace within yourself, and how self-discovery is very important for inner peace. Set in the charming Jimbocho district of Tokyo, the story of this book follows Takako, who finds solace in her uncle's second-hand bookstore after she has gone through a very huge heartbreak in her personal life. As she starts spending her life amongst all of the shelves overflowing with stories, Takako begins to heal from her personal loss, and she finds her new love for reading. Everyone who reads this book will relate to Takako, because every single one of us have gone through some heartbreaks in our lives. Sometimes we find solace in reading, or sometimes we find solace in activities that we discover during our process of healing. It can be journaling, it can be watching movies, it can be as simple as going out for a walk. I absolutely loved the way Takako evolved as a person, and I really loved her journey of self-healing. The bond that she shared with her uncle was another highlight from this book. It was filled with warmth and humor. As always, Japanese translated fictions do something very beautiful to you when you are reading it, and Ishikawa's writing style was the same. It was simple, beautiful, and heartwarming. The description of the old bookstore and its surrounding were so vivid that you can almost smell the old papers and feel the comforting atmosphere. Days at Morisaki Bookshop was definitely a heartwarming and a very beautiful read. This book is a perfect escape for book lovers and anyone who appreciates the beauty of everyday life. If you are looking for a book that will make you smile, feel warm and cozy, and definitely will inspire you to go and visit your local bookstore, then definitely go and read Days at Morisaki Bookshop. Next up, I'm going to talk about Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher, which is a smutty, grumpy billionaire romance. It is the first book in the trilogy, and all of the three books are the three love stories of the three billionaire brothers. So you can read the books individually as standalones, or you can read them as a sequence. It is completely your choice. This book has it all: a grumpy billionaire, a witty main female character, and a lot of sizzling chemistry. The main female character of this book is Iris, who gets a chance to be a part of the project management team of the Dreamland amusement park, much like the Disneylands that we have in real life. And she sparks a chemistry with her boss, Declan, who is, yes, you have guessed it right, the grumpy billionaire. Declan had personally given her the job because she is the only one in his team who is not looking to please him, who is there to give fresh perspectives to the team so that they can implement those things for the betterment of the Dreamland park. The book is filled with moments of passion, humor, and obviously some swoon-worthy moments as well. Their banter is sharp and witty, and I loved their banter throughout this whole book, and the formation of their connection definitely felt organic and obviously very passionate. There was one particular gesture that Declan did for Iris that made my jaw drop to the floor, and definitely because of that, Declan is on top when I am talking about book boyfriends. Since this is a romance, the plot is predictable, but the journey is absolutely amazing. So if you do not mind some smart in books, and if you are really into billionaire romances, then definitely you can read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher if you haven't already. In November, I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts and also Reckless, and I absolutely loved both of the books. But after hearing a few things about the books, I don't know whether I should include them in my reading list. But also, I cannot deny that these two books have given me such a beautiful experience when I was reading them. So I have decided that I will not talk about those books here in this video. I will just recommend those books if you really want to read a romantasy. I will be making a separate video where I will be talking in depth about the plot and the story of Powerless and Reckless. So you have to wait for that a little bit. And now let's move on to the next book that I really loved reading in the month of November. The book that completely gave me a shocker was The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. I read Fourth Wing by her, and I never expected that she will be writing such a beautiful romance, but here we are. This book was so beautiful that I had to include it in my top list. This book not only talks about love and loss, this book also talks about sacrifices that we make for our loved ones. There are two different timelines going on in this book. One talks about the past. We see a love story happening in the troublesome environment of World War II. And then we also have another timeline, the present timeline, where we see another love story that has its own challenges. And both of these love stories are connected. In the past, we get to know Scarlett and her love story. And in the present, we get to know Georgia, who is the granddaughter of Scarlett, and her love story. I'm not going to talk about the individual love stories because that might be considered as a spoiler. And I definitely want you to go as blindly as possible when you are starting this book. So all I can say is that not only there was seamless blending between the past and the present, but the twist at the end was so amazing. I never ever had predicted that the twist was coming, but when it came, the experience of reading this book became a lot better. As I said before, both of the love stories had the challenges of their own, and I really loved reading both of these love stories, the past love story being my favorite, and this book definitely will make you cry. I never ever expected Rebecca Yarros to write such a beautiful romance novel, and when after I finished reading this book, I searched her previous works and I realized that she has written a lot of romances. So I'm definitely going to go and check her other works out, and I am definitely recommending this book to you guys. If you want a tear-jerking romance novel that not only talks about a love story evolving in World War, but also a modern day love story having its own challenges, then definitely go and check this book out. And finally, in December, I decided to do something that was very necessary. It has benefited me, but it was a very exhausting experience at the very end. I decided to read 31 books in 31 days. And I have top 2 books among all of the 31 books that I read in December. The first book that I absolutely loved is Collide by Bal Khabra. This is also a hockey romance, but all of the things that were lacking in Icebreaker were present in this one. So this book is Icebreaker's better version, you can say. However, even though both of the books are hockey romances, the plot and the things that happen in the book and the characters of these books are quite different. These are not similar stories. Collide follows Summer Preston, who is a driven sports psychology student, and she has only one problem. She does not like hockey, nor she wants to be associated with hockey. But just because she has to complete one project that can land her to her dream opportunity, she has to do a project with the hockey team lead, and that's how she is pulled into a situation in which she is not comfortable, but she has to complete the project and she has to interact with a person she does not want to have any association with. On the other hand, Aiden Crawford is a very talented and very driven hockey player who wants nothing but to play hockey. His whole concentration in life is to become a very good hockey player, and everything is going fine until he gets involved in a scandal, and because of that he gets punished to become a subject of Summer's project. So both of them are forced to be in a proximity where both of them are not comfortable, but both of them have to go through this so that both of them can prosper in their own careers. They completely hate each other from the very beginning, but as they sit and start talking about themselves to each other, they realize that somehow they are quite similar deep down if they keep the animosity apart. Aiden was so amazing in this book, and I also talked about this person in my reading vlog where I was reading Collide. And let me repeat to you guys again, this guy made chai from scratch just because Summer loves having chai. He had no freaking idea how to make chai, and she did not even ask for it. She did not even demand him to do it. He did it from his own goodwill, you know. It's so beautiful to read about characters who are such sweethearts, and definitely Aiden is the sunshine in this book. Summer was the grumpy one in this story. Summer was half Indian, so you will find a few references from Indian culture here. However, not that prominent, but there were few food references, like she loved gulab jamun. Her favorite drink is chai, which is a little bit monotonous if you ask me, but we all love gulab jamun and chai, right? So I don't have any problem with that. Apart from that, one thing that I really lacked in Icebreaker was the family drama. There was a lot of build up, but when the actual part of the family drama came and the after effects of the family drama was not shown that much in Icebreaker, but in this book, Bal Khabra has definitely taken her sweet time to make all of the characters settle down after the family drama, then how the parents meet the two characters for the very first time and how both of the side of the parents accept these two people, and it was so beautiful to read an ending of a romance novel that was not rushed, and that is the reason why I really loved reading this book. So if you are looking for a sports romance, definitely go for Collide by Bal Khabra first, and then if you like Collide, then you can go for Icebreaker or all of the other books in the Maple Hills series, but definitely I will suggest you to read Collide by Bal Khabra first. And lastly, the book that absolutely stole the show was Misery by Stephen King. This was the first time I read Stephen King and it absolutely blew my mind. Misery is a dark and twisty thriller. The story of this book talks about Paul Sheldon, who is a famous novelist who is rescued after a car incident by his number one fan, Annie. However, the twist is Annie is his number one fan and she is secretly obsessed with Paul Sheldon. And you can say one of her favorite characters written by Paul Sheldon. And when she gets to know that Paul has killed her favorite fictional character, she is not happy. She is not happy at all. This is a story of how obsession can turn into a crime and how a fan who is so deranged by mind can turn a celebrity's life to hell. Not only this book had all of the twists and turns that completely blew me away, this book was so dark that I am now afraid of nurses. If you are a fan of psychological thrillers and still have not read Misery, then do yourself a favor and start reading this book like ASAP. Thank me later. And there you have it. These are my top 24 books from 2024, and my top 2 books from this year are A Code of Mist and Fury and Misery by Stephen King. I hope that this video has given you some fantastic recommendations and reading inspiration. Let me know in the comments down below what was your favorite read from the year of 2024. I will also add a few books for myself in my TBR list. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed watching this video, and if you want to follow along my bookish journey, then definitely go and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, take some recommendations, start reading a few books. A very happy new year to you guys again. Happy reading. Bye.